Hello everyone, welcome back. Hi dear Vano, how are you? Welcome. I am good, thank you so much for asking. Dear Vano, here is your beautiful name. You are the first dear Vano. Welcome. Hi dear Adi, hello Dennis, how are you? I am good, how about you? Thank you so much for joining. Hello everyone. Okay, hi dear Latia. No, Lalitya. Lalitya. Here is your beautiful name. I am also good. Good to hear. Lonely. Hi. How are you? Here is yours. Hi dear Rina. Here is your good name. Hi dear Sifa. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Kabir, here is yours. Hello, dear Medina, here is your good name. You're most welcome, dear. Okay. Let me write Sarah. Hi, dear Sarah, here is yours. Hello, dear Nana, how are you? It is a good name. Hello, dear Danya. Here is yours. Hi, dear Juveda. Welcome back, dear Juveda. How are you today? Hello, dear Jude. Here is yours. Hi, dear Sunera. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Hisium. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Let's see who is next. Srinidhi. Hello, dear Srinidhi. Here is your beautiful name. Oh, precious. Hi, dear Sinuja. Here is yours. Hi, dear Eva. Here's a good name. Hello, dear Senu. Here is yours. Hi, dear Nure. Here is yours. Oh my god. Hello, dear Payal. It is a beautiful name. You're most welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hi, dear Anand. Here is yours. Hello, dear Leah. Here's your good name. Hi, dear Zia. Here is yours. Hello, okay. So much spam. Don't spam, man. Here is yours. Hello, dear Fallon. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Hakya. Here is yours. Hello, dear Maja. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Shivam. Here is yours. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hello, dear Lena. Here is yours. Arda. Oh, let me write your good name. Hi, dear Arda. Here is yours. Hello, dear Riza. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Ram. Here is yours. Hello, dear Munira. Here is yours. Hello, dear Mirab. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Ella. Here is yours. Hi, dear Christian. Here is yours. Hello, dear Fatima. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Asher. Here is yours. Hello, dear Nifty. Here is your beautiful name. What a unique name you have. Hello, dear Abby. Here is yours. Hi, dear Suraya. Here is your beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Hello, dear Hansika. Here is yours. Hi, dear Burak. Here is yours. Merhaba, nasılsın? İyiyim Zara, hoş geldiniz. Hi, dear Gaurav. Teşekkür ederim. Hello, dear Anthea. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Charles. Here is yours. Thank you so much, Sifa, for subscribing. Hi, dear Sifa. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Abid. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ghana. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Mihana. Here is yours. Mihana, what a beautiful name you have. Hi, dear Elon. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, welcome back, Marco. Here is yours. How are you today? Hello, dear Ayana. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Ikram. Here is yours. Hello, dear Sikandar. Oh, okay, Sikandar. Here is your beautiful name. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Abhi. Here is yours. Hello, thank you so much for joining. Hello, dear Anand. Here is yours. Hello, dear Dilzada. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, dear Noor. Here is yours. Hello, dear Chubby. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Moment. Helma, welcome back. Here is yours. Hello, dear Thelma. Here is your beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining again, dear. Hi, dear Roxana. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Hello, dear Anisa. Here is yours. Hi, dear Neeru. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Aditi. Hi. Here is yours. Hi, dear Amani. Here is your beautiful name. Mine, please. What's a good name? Aslan. Hello, dear Aslan. Here is yours. Hiba and Aman. This is for you. Thank you so much for joining, dear Vivian. Hello, dear Vivian. Here is yours. Hi, dear Janet. Here is a good name. Hello, dear Ashu. Let me ask the question. Okay. Hi, dear Yasmina. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Huran. Here is yours. Hello, dear Sunera. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Kim. Here is yours. Hi, dear Janvi. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Donya. Here is yours. Hello, dear Kavya. Here is yours. Hello, dear Vani. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Ashi. Here is yours. Hi, dear Eunice. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Mantu. Here is yours. Hello, dear Vega. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Nadira. Here is yours. Hello, dear Joey. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Teza. Here is yours. Hello, dear Labib. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Crony. Here is yours. Hi, dear Saki. Here is your beautiful name. Let's see who is next. Hello, dear Tabassum. Here is yours. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Kavir. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Vani. Here is yours. Hello, dear Manha. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Elisa. Here is yours. Hi, dear Priya. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Misal. Here is yours. Hi, dear Renata. Renata with a star. Here is yours. Hi, dear Hasna. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Herschel. Here is yours. Sky blue. Hello, dear Daman. Here is your Tamanna or Daman. It is your good name. Hi, dear Bertram. Here is yours. Please, please, please. Yes, what's a good name? You have to tell, dear. Hi, dear Ali. Don't need to please me. Just comment your name. Hi, dear Tiara. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Daylan. Here is yours. Hi, dear Neha. Here is your good name. Welcome back, Amalbai. How are you? Here is a beautiful name, Priyam. Hello, dear Priyam. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Yana. Here is yours. Oh, hi, dear Shivando. Here is your beautiful name. It's okay. Hello, dear Penny. Here is yours. Hi, Amatullah. Welcome back. How are you? Here is your good name. Welcome back. Hi, dear Janella. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Abhi. Here is your. Sorry, Marco. I didn't see. Hi, dear Hamza. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Shadab. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Who is saying mango? Hi, dear mango. King of all fruits. Ma'am, yes. Hi, dear Eunice. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Ben. Here is yours. Hi, dear Ananya. Here is your beautiful name. Welcome back, Priyante. Hi, dear Priyante. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, dear you, Ram. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Eden. Here is yours. Hi, dear Amir. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Orko. Here is yours. Hello, dear Abby. Here is your beautiful name. Oh my god, too much spam. Please don't spam. Hi, dear As. Oh, no. Astri. Here is yours. Hi, welcome. Okay, Amul Bhai. Enjoy yourself. Hi, dear Ella. Here is yours. Hi, dear Zainab. It is a good name. Zainab. Here is yours. Hello, dear Sanya. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Sayraj. Here is yours. Hello, dear Priyanshu. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Sahiba. Here is yours. Hello, dear Lisa. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Kumsel. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Hello, dear Mozambique. Welcome back. How are you? Hi, dear Vaishnavi. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Kapil. Here is yours. Hi, dear Shiza. Here is your good name. Ashi. Okay, Ashi. Hello, dear Ashi. Here is yours. You're most welcome. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hi, dear Heaven. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Imasha. Here is yours. Hi, dear Limi. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Darlin. Here is yours. Hi, dear China. Here is a good name. Hello, dear Saliha. Here is yours. Hi, dear Michelle. Here is a beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hi, dear Michelle. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Ray. Here is yours. Hi, dear Sana. Here's a good name. Hi, dear Pranjal. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Taki. Here is yours. Hi, dear Sakya. Here is your beautiful name. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Anmol. Here is yours. Hi, dear Noor. Here is a good name. Hello, dear Nursada. Here is yours. Hi, dear Daksh. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Salsa. What a delicious name you have. Here is yours. Hi, dear Maz. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Nera. Here is yours. Hi, dear Avushna. Here is your beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to double tap on your screen, guys. Like and subscribe. Hello, dear Hattis. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Arohi. Here is yours. Hello, dear. Please, Dan. Uh, Dan is your name? What's a good name? Hi, dear Sadia. Here is yours. Hello, dear Prisha. Here is your good name. Hi, dear. Oh, lots of love. Thank you. Really appreciate. Hi, dear Here is yours. Hello, dear Shivraj. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Elba. Here is yours. Hello, dear Elisa. No, dear Lusty. What's a good name? Nice meeting you too. Alicia. Here is yours. Hi, dear Samriddhi. Samriddhi. Here is your beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, dear Leon. Here is yours. Hello, dear Gunny. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Eunice. Here is yours. Hello, dear Alicia. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Ines. Here is yours. Hi, dear Farid. Here's a good name. Hi, dear Sahil. Here is yours. Hi, dear Ocean. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Clara. Here is yours. Hello, dear Gavin. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Umar. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let's see who is next. Adam. Hello, dear Adam. Here is yours. Hi, dear Aryan. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Shelley. Here is yours. Hi, dear sweetie. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Clemers. Okay, let me check the spelling. CL. Welcome back. How are you doing today? Clemens. Hi, dear Clemens. Here is yours. Hello, dear Judwig. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Lois. Here is yours. Hello, dear Sophia. Here's a beautiful name. Hi, dear Shakira. Here is yours. Hello, dear Pranali. Here is yours, Pranali. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Double tap on your screen. Let's see who's gonna be the 67th liker. Hi, dear Miss Ba. Here is yours. Uh, she's my cat, Spicy. What a name! Spicy. What a name. Here is yours. Hi, dear Ria. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Ira. Here is yours. Hello, dear Nidale. Here is your beautiful name. Thank you so much. Lots of love. Hi, dear Samila. Here is yours. Hello, dear Leon. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Thomas. Here is yours. Hello, dear Javelia. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Rita. Here is yours. Hi, dear Misty. Here is a good name. Hello, dear Mattis. Here is yours. Hi, dear Gargi. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Catalin. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining, dear Catalin. Here's a good name. Hi, dear Jane. Here is yours. Hello, dear Aftab. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Samuel. Here is yours. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Hi, dear Flores. Here is yours. Hi, dear Arush. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Maka. Here is yours. Hi, dear Zara. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Ali Aswar. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Hello, dear. Thank you, Aditi. Here is yours. MTK, are you here? MTK. Hey, Auntie K, welcome back. Macaronis, I love to. Hi, dear Zelius. Here is yours. Hello, dear Sophie. Here is a good name. Thank you. You're most welcome, dear. Lots of love. Hi, dear Ankisha or Ankishu. Ankisha. Hello, Anshika. Hello, dear Anshika. Here is yours. Suman. Hi, dear Suman. Here is yours, Louis. Louis is here. Hi, dear Abisa. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Erilyn. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hi, dear Yusuf. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Amaris. Here is yours. Hi dear Tushar, here is your good name. Hello dear Isuru, here is yours. What a unique name you have here, Isuru. Hello dear Mansur, here is your good name. Hi dear Sarah, here is yours. Hi dear Sanya, here is a good name. Hi dear Zena, here is yours. Hi dear Shivam, here is your beautiful name. Hello dear Marianne, here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Hi dear Norman, here is your beautiful name. Hi dear Amira, here is yours. Hello dear Agalia, it is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Riza. Here is yours. Hello, dear Noor. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Tamil. Here is yours. Hi, dear Chirag. It is a good name. Hi, dear Afra. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Zunera. Zunera. Here is yours. Hi, dear room. Double M U. Yes. Here is yours. Hello, dear Haley. Here is a good name. Let's see who is next. Japanese food. Oh, good to hear. Hello, dear Ananya. Here is yours. And double tap on your screen, guys. Hi, dear son. How are you? Salsabel. Oh, I thought that you wrote Sanabel. Salsabel. Hello, dear Salsabel. Here is your good name. Double tap on your screen. And LMR. Welcome back, LMR. How are you? Here is your good name. Thank you so much for joining again. Hi, dear Anna. Here is yours. Welcome back, Amulari. How are you? Hi, dear Naya. Here is yours. Hello, dear Chahat. Kajal. Okay, okay. After this, Kajal. Hi, dear Chahat. Here is a good name. Kajal. Hello, dear Kajal. Here is yours. Hi, welcome. Hi, dear Gofran. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Hanan. Here is yours. Hello, dear Dima. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Usa. What are you saying, Amul Bhai? Hello. Let me check. Just wait for a second, guys. Double tap on your screens and don't forget to press the bell icon. Yeah, Alu. Except Alu. Hi, dear Afan. Here is yours. Hello, dear Crafty. Here is your beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. What's your name? Hello, dear Eva. Here is yours. Hi, dear Shiv. Here is a good name, Karela. Hi, dear Emma. Here is yours. Hello, dear Lynn. It is a good name. Hi, dear Nyla. Here is yours. Oh my god, too much emojis. Rio. Oh, welcome back, Rio. How are you? It is a beautiful name. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Vinny. Here is yours. Hi, dear Alicia. Here is a beautiful name. Guys, double tap on your screens. And don't forget to press the subscribe button there. I am good. How about you, dear? Oh, Safu, welcome back. How are you? Anwar Ali is my name. Please, my name. What's a good name? You have to tell me. It's okay. Hi, dear Vid. Here is yours. Hello, dear Artu. It is a good name. Safu. Hi, dear Safu. Here is yours. Hello, dear Tahura. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Zainab. Here is yours. Hi, dear Aya. Okay. Can you guys hear me now? Hello, dear Zad. Pizza is your favorite food. So good to know. I love pizza too. Hi, dear Samya. Here is yours. Hi, dear Cheyenne. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Athar. Oh, thank you so much for telling me, Muzumbai. Here is yours. I don't have any QR code, dear. Hi, dear Ali. Here is yours. Thank you so much for your support and love. The only way you can support me, just like the live, and don't forget to press the subscribe button. Hi, dear Rajit. Here is yours. Hello, dear Farrell. It is a good name. Hi, dear Sri. Here is yours. Hello, hi. No, you can't. You actually can't. Hi, dear Dadak. Here is yours. Hello, dear Mozam. Saroj. Hi, dear Saroj. Here is yours. I am Hazard. Hello, dear Hazard. Here is yours. Hello, dear Usman. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Vedant. Here is yours. Hi, dear Sufyan. How are you? It is a good name. Fried chicken. So good to know. Hi, dear Bhumi. Here is yours. Hi, dear Umeza. Here is your beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Nager. What are your nickname you have, dear Nager? Naegher. Here is yours. And M or H? You're most welcome. Thank you. Hello, dear Hashim. Here is yours. Hello, dear Emma. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Bhumi. How are you? Here is a beautiful name. I am Farhad. Hello, dear Farhad. Here's a good name. Hello, dear Ryan. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Let's see who is next. Safu. Hi, dear Safu. Here is yours. Hi, dear Jahan. Here is a beautiful name. S and A. For you, dear. Let's see who is next. You're most welcome, Peyton. Hi, dear Peyton. How are you? Hello, dear Fies. Hello, dear Peyton. Here's a good name. Hi, dear Fies. Here is yours. Hello, dear Mustafa. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Azim. Here is yours. Hello, dear Gemma. It is a good name. Prachi. Hello, dear Prachi. Here is yours. Hi, dear Moji. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, welcome. Hello, dear Rani. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Faiz Mahi. Faiz Mahi. Here is yours. Hello, dear Preston. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Miral. Here is yours. Hi, dear Krishna. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Birdie. Here is yours. Hello, dear Hussein. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Azan. Here is yours. Hello, JH. What's your name? Can you please do my name? It's Peter. And you can call me sister. Peter, dear. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Ayush. Here is your good name. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, dear Jack. Here is yours. Thank you for subscribing. What's a good name? Hello, dear Selma Biryani. Oh, yum. Hi, dear Selma. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ganesh. It is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Habiba. Here is yours. My name is Ishal. Hi, dear Gauri. Here is yours. Love you, sister. Thank you so much, dear. Hi, dear Rahib. Here is yours. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. May same. May same. What a unique name you have, dear. Thank you so much, guys. Siri. Hi, dear Siri. It is a beautiful name. Huh? Thank you so much, Mozambique. Literally, I am shocked. Hi, dears. Bilsora, here is yours. Hello, dear Miral. It is a good name. Messi. Hi, dear Messi. Here is yours. Hello, dear Hiba. Here is yours. Amen. Hi, dear Amen. Here is yours. Let me check the message of Amadullah. Hi, I am back again. Could you write my name and then I have to go to eat? Enjoy your meal, dear Amadullah. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining again. Hi, welcome. And let's see who is next. Najmin. Hello, dear Najmin. How are you? Hi. Enjoy your meal. Good day. Hi, dear Sofa. Here is yours. Hello, dear Aman. Here is a beautiful name. Hello, dear Hiba. Here is yours, Mubashir. Okay, okay, Ryan. Mubashir. Noted. Ryan, not Ayan. Ryan. Rayan. Here is yours. Hi, dear Sunera. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Jawad. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining, everyone, and ignore the background noises. Hi, dear Cian. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ravi. It is a good name. Chicken leg piece. Okay. Hi, dear Soja. Here is yours. Hello, dear Camellia. It is a good name. Annie. Hi, dear Annie. Here is yours. What's your name? Salu. Okay. Hi, dear Salu. Here is yours. Hello, dear Diksha. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Devya. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Don't forget to double tap on your screens. Amna is so angry. Hey, Amna, don't be angry. Here is a good name. Hi, uh, Nina. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ariba. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Mariam. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. It is a beautiful name, Shama. Hello, dear Shama. Thank you so much for subscribing. Hello, dear Pearl. Here is yours, Dadet. Hello, dear Dadet. Oh no, D. Dot. Here is yours. Hi, dear Imana. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Haram. Here is yours. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Angun. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Rahul. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to double tap on your screens, and there is a subscribe button waiting for your finger press. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Utkarsh. Welcome back. How are you? It is a good name. Hi, dear Vinay. Here is yours. Double tap on your screens. You are without voice headphones looking like a very high pitched meaty seat. What? Hello, dear Mehdi. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Mimi. Here is yours. Hello, dear Manya. It is a beautiful name. Hello, dear Sahil. Here is yours. Hi, dear God. Here is yours. Hi, dear Dave. It is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Alan. Here is yours. Hello, dear Josefa. It is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Sharina. Here is yours. Hi, dear Rahim. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Safa. Here is yours, Mehdi. Hello, dear Mehdi. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, what's your good name? Zarina. I am doing good. How about you, dear? Hi, dear Rihanna. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ali. Here is yours. Walaikum assalam. Khadija. Khadija or Hazik? Khadija. Here is yours. Thank you. Good to hear. Hello, dear Rahul. Here is a beautiful name. Guys, double tap on your screens. And don't forget to press the subscribe button. Let's see who is next. Amelia. Hello, dear Amelia. Here is yours. Hi, dear Aro. Here is yours. Hello, dear Remus. It is a beautiful name. Let's see who is next. Hi, welcome, Natalie. Welcome back, dear Natalia. Natalia, I forgot your second name. What is it? Can you tell me? Dear Natalia. Shallow. Okay, dear Shallow. After this. Shielo. Here is yours. Hello, dear Zoya. Here is a beautiful name. And Michaela. Michaelia or Michaelia. Michaela. Sorry if I mispronounce your name, dear. So sorry. I don't know how to pronounce Michaelia. I am doing. I don't know. Hi, dear Aman. Here is yours desire. Yeah, disaster, you can say. Hi, dear Ajay. Here is yours. Hello, dear Muja. Here is yours. Hello, dear Desire. Here is your beautiful name. Welcome back. How are you? Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Don't forget to press the subscribe button there and there, right there. Arshad. Hello, dear Arshad. It is a beautiful name. Who is doing? Thank you, Heart. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. Welcome back. How are you doing today? Have a blessed Friday, everyone. Masuma. Okay, dear Masuma. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Hello, dear Amos. Here is yours. Almas or Amos? Oh my god. Anamika. Anamika with cookie. Hello, dear Anamika. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Maria. Hello, dear Maria. Here is yours. Hi, dear Zara. It is a good name. Hello, dear Irfan. Here is yours, Rafisha. Hello, dear Rafisha. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Yoel. Here is yours. Hello, dear Isya. How are you? Who's the one who is saying something that I can't read? Hi, dear Tugba. Here is a good name. Hello, hi, welcome, Paul. Hello, dear Paul. Here is yours, Disha and Tanish. Disha and Tanish. Here is yours, dear. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to double tap on your screens. Tossif. Hi, welcome. Have to mute. Okay, let's back to the name. Hi, dear Raja. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Gotham. Here is yours. Musumbai, can you hear me now? Hello, dear Sandeep. Here is a beautiful name. Hello, dear Sana. Here is yours. Hi, dear Serifin. Here is a beautiful name. Hello, dear Gia. Here is yours. Thank you so much, dear Eva. Lots of love. Thank you for joining. Hi, dear Gia. Here is yours. Hi, Layan. Welcome back. How are you? Here is a beautiful name, Gunjan. Hi, dear Gunjan. Here is yours. Teşekkür ederim. Merhaba. Hi, dear Swaraj. Here is yours. Hello, dear Nabila. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, welcome. I like the cat. Hi, dear Passini. Here is yours. Hello, dear. Hi, Olga. Welcome back. Maja. Hello, dear Lola. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Maja. Why are you so sad? Here is yours. Hi, dear Lucky. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Konak. Here is yours. Let's see. Yes, we are, but more than you because you are enjoying audience. Yeah, and you are one of my favorite audience. Hi, dear Subhan. Here is yours. Walaikum assalam. Welcome back. Hello, dear Iman. Here is yours. Hi, dear Asma. It is a good name. Guys, double tap on your screens. And let's see who is next. Azza. Hi, dear Azza. Hello, dear Shania. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Heaven. Welcome back. Here is yours. Hi, dear Amal. Here is a good name. Hello, dear Lucky. Here is yours. Hi, dear Maria. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Lehman. Lehman. Welcome back. Hi, dear Sunshine. Welcome back, Amubai. You are the favorite mode. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. Hi, dear Saliha. Here's a good name. Hi, dear Jerusha. Here is yours. And let's see who is next. Yeah, I have, of course. That's such a beautiful name. After this, Sedursha. It is a beautiful name, dear Sadusha. Thank you so much for the compliments. Hi, dear Ayat. Here is your beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining, dear. Hi, dear Ayan. Here is yours. Hi, dear Nifia. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Ojas. Here is yours. Yeah, as usual. She did this thing with me too. Hi, dear Herangis. Here is yours. Hi, dear Eva. Hi, welcome. Hello, dear Advik. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Fatima. Here is yours. Hi, dear Mia. Here is your beautiful name. Double tap on your screens. Hi, dear. Uh, what was the name? Misha? Misha or Mila? Devangi. Hello, dear Devangi. Here is yours. Uh, when someone sees this cyber Roshi, I click. Oh, you wanna say on thumbnail? Why not, dear Maja? Done. Hi, dear Dyla. Here is yours. Hello, dear Mila. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Ali. Here is yours. Hi, dear Karen. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Dahlia. Here is yours. Hi, dear Fatima. Here is your beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's see who is next. Also, hi. Okay, take care. Good day. Japan? Japan Joe. Wow, what a unique name you have. Here is yours. Hello, dear Flores. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Farah. Here is yours. Hello, dear Shalini. Here is your beautiful name. Hi. Hello, dear Ruba. Here is yours. Hi, dear Nasya. Here is a beautiful name. Oh, bye, dear Imaja. Take care. Kunj. Hello, dear Kunj. Here is yours. We are literally stuck on 147, guys. Come on, double tap on your screens and let me drink some water. Stay hydrated. Abraj. After this. Hmm. एक मिनट बस. Just a second. Thank you so much for your patience. Abraj. Hello, dear Abraj. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Saisha. Here is yours. Hello, dear Karen. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Dua. Here is yours. Hello, dear Zoe. Here is yours. Hi, dear Muhammadi. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining, dear Muhammad. Hello, dear Anu. How are you? Oh God, why? Okay, let's see who is next. Anab, hi. Here is yours. Hi, dear Prachi. Here is your beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. सेम जैसे मुझे बोलते हैं आप वैसे ही. Hi dear Ashi, here is yours. Hello dear Isna. Here is a beautiful name. Hi dear Manu, here is yours. Hello dear Misha, here is a good name. Double tap on your screens. Let's see who's gonna be the 160 liker. Norde. Hi dear Norde. Here is a beautiful name. Hello, dear Pavish. Here is yours. Hello, dear Zan. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Yuyu. What a unique name you have, dear Yuyu. Here is yours. Hi, dear Uzo. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ambika. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Satyam. Here is yours. Aaron. Hello, dear Aaron. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Shubham. Here is yours. Hello, dear Asma. Here is a beautiful name. What's your name? Why are you so angry? What's a good name? Incy. Thank you so much for subscribing. Here is yours. Hi, dear Gaurav. Here is yours. We are divided by nation and united by thought. Good minded. Yeah, we are in the same place. Hello, dear Mata. Here is yours. Hi, dear Zainab. Here is a beautiful name. Oh, thank you. GCOBCI from South Africa. So good to have you here, dear. Thank you so much for your presence. Yay! Hania. Oh my god, Hania is too angry. Don't be angry, dear Hania. You have such a lovely name. It is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Zahara. Here is yours. Thank you, Sudesh. Here is yours. I really appreciate your love and support, guys. Don't forget to like and press the subscribe button. Oh, you're most welcome. Hi, dear Caddy. Here is a good name. Hi, dear C4. Here is yours, Luna. Oh my god, Luna. Here is yours. Hello, you're most welcome. What's your name? ACHUDHA. Here is yours. I don't think. Anu, don't be angry. Be happy always. It is a good name. Hi, dear Elisha. Here is yours. Hello, dear Maria. Here is your beautiful name. Accept me? I don't think so. I don't think so. Dear, let's see who's next. Who's spamming? Max. Hi, dear Max. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ayat. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Nanny. Here is yours. Hi, dear Momina. Here is your beautiful name. Hello. Who is saying चुड़ैल? आ जाएगी पकड़ने के लिए घर पे. चुड़ैल का कोई पता नहीं होता. Hi, dear Krishna. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Nasser. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, dear Abidin. Here is yours. Hi, dear Chino. Here is a good name. Hello, dear Maria. Here is yours. Hi, dear Ansar. Here is your beautiful name. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Hi dear Dishita, here is yours. Hello dear Divesh, here is yours. Hi dear Jungkook. Oh you dear Army. But Jungkook without V. Okay, let's see who is next. Thank you. You're most welcome, dear Poonam. Hi, dear Poonam. Here is yours. क्या नहीं बिल्कुल भी नहीं हाँ यार अरे नहीं नहीं आपको समझ नहीं आया चलो मैं बाद में बताऊंगी आपको ठीक है हाय डियर लियांग here is yours मौसम भाई उधार रहा बाद में बताऊंगी हाय डियर एलिफ it is a good name comments में ठीक है हाय डियर वजिया here is yours hello dear Anas here is a good name double tap on your screens Claudine hello dear Claudine here is yours. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Shima. Hello, dear Shima. Here is yours. Who is saying Verstappen? Here is yours. You're most welcome, dear. Thank you so much. Shania. Hi, dear Shania. Here is yours. Pizza. I love pizza too. Hi, dear Anushka. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Nancy. Here is yours. Hi, dear Abdullah. It is a beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to double tap on your screens. And let's see. Aha. Sorry. Who is next? Rahul. Hi, dear Rahul. Here is yours. Hello, dear Vera. It is a good name. Trivani. Hi, dear Trivani. Here is yours. Sophia. Oh, your sister. मुझे आपके क्वेश्चन की समझ नहीं आई मोजिन भाई आपने क्या क्वेश्चन पूछा तो इसलिए फिर मैं आपको कैसे उसका आंसर बताऊं क्या बोल रहे हो ये Hi dear Ahmad, here is yours Natalia and Michaela. I am good. How about you, dear Natalia? And let me check the spelling. Chealna. Here is yours, guys. Double tap on your screen. We have to complete 200. Oh, you're most welcome. You are the sweetest, dear Helen. Hi, dear Helen. Here is yours. Hi, dear Vijaya. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Jimin. Hello, dear Army. How are you? Thank you so much for the compliment, dear. Lots of love. Hi, dear Shahir. Have a great day to you too. Hello, dear Shahir. It is a beautiful name. Double tap on your screens. ओह अच्छा ओहो नहीं आपको पता है मेरा फोकस राइटिंग पे है हाय डियर करण हियर इज योर्स सवाल ही पैदा नहीं होता ये जो बोल रहे थे टिनोला okay my favorite food is tinola I didn't hear about this food before where are you from and what kind of dish it is hi dear Rishabh here is yours don't be sad dear Here is your beautiful name. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Bharat. Bharat. Here is yours. Hello, dear Islam. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Nathan. Here is yours. Hello, dear Angel. Here is a good name. You are from Philippines. Okay. Good to know. नाम देखो और काम देखो भाई. Anyways, let's move to the next name, Momina. Hi, dear Momina. Here is yours. क्या? नहीं. ओ हाँ, सर की तरह. ना ना. Hello, dear Grace. Here is yours. यही समझ लो. My name is Isma. Welcome back, dear Isma. How are you? It is a beautiful name. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Rajput. Here is your beautiful name. You are from Philippines, not Momina. Momina dot Momina. है सेम स्पेलिंग तो लग रहे हैं. ओह अच्छा मैंने एन लिख दिया था. So sorry, dear Momina. Now it's all right, I think. Thank you so much for joining. And let's see who is next. You are from South Korea, but you are Indian. Okay, let's see who is next. Hi, dear Korika. Here is yours. Hi, dear Sedima. Here is your beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enoch, why not, dear? Enoch. Here is yours. What? Okay, let's move to the next name, Raj. Hi, dear Raj. Here is yours. Let me focus, Muslim High, please. Hello, dear Farah. Here is yours. Hi, dear Tanishka. Here is yours. Hello, dear. Let's see who is next. Satima, Tanishka is done. Raj is done. Rafa. Hello, dear Rafa. Here is yours. Hi, dear Yuvi. Here's a good name. What are you talking about, Ahad? Pratibha. Hello, dear Pratibha. Here is yours. Hello, dear Manan. Here is yours. Yes, Muslim bhai, you are 100% right. Hi, dear PG. Here is yours. Siva and Kirtana. What's your name? You have to tell. I'm not ignoring you, dear. Kirtana. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Hanan. Here is yours. Naveed Hassan. पहले क्या बोल रहे थे भाई? सीधा सीधा नाम क्यों नहीं बोलते अपना? ये जान के पंगे लेना जरूरी होता है क्या? Dear Gotham, here is yours. You're most welcome. Thank you. मैं पता हाइड करने लगी थी सीधा. तो मैंने सोचा चलो पूछ लेती हूँ क्यों बोल रहे हो वैसे. Hi dear Furry, it is a good name. Hello, dear Vaishnavi. Here is yours. Okay, it's okay. No need to sorry. Hi, Isma. Welcome back. Hello, dear Muslima. Here is yours. सबका मौजन भाई काफ़ी सारे नाम लिख ली होती हूँ मैं ख्वाब में भी हाय डियर अंकिता हियर इज़ योर्स और मैं ये बोल रही होती हूँ हियर इज़ योर्स सच में हाय डियर रीत it is a good name double tap on your screen guys don't forget to like and subscribe हिल गया थोड़ा सा एंगल I think Amna hi dear Amna here is a beautiful name Sharavya. Hi dear Shravya, here is yours. Tanmay. Hello dear Tanmay, here is your good name. Fatma Gul. Hi Fatma Gul, how are you? Merhaba. Niselsen. Hello dear Ojas, here is yours. It's okay, no need to apology. Hi dear Jawad, here is your beautiful name. Here is your yeah. Hi dear Nitin. Here is a good name. आदत हो गई है ऐसे बोलने की मुझे. Hi dear Amy. Here is yours. Hello dear Naira. Here is a good name. Hi dear Samad. Here is yours Moment. Hello dear Moment. Here's a good name. Double tap on your screens and करीब आ रहा है लाइव को एंड करने का टाइम. फटाफट से लाइक करके चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लें. हाय जैक, हाउ आर यू? Don't forget to subscribe. Hi dear Jake. Here is yours. पता नहीं मेरा मुंह थक जाता है सच में बाद में फिर मेरा दिल नहीं करता किसी और से बात करने का घर में भी. हाय डियर एडा मजबूरी होती है ना इस वजह से इसलिए भाई औरतों को ज़्यादा बोलना पड़ता है. हाय डियर तैयब हियर इज़ योर्स. ओह हाय रोहित वेलकम बैक. हाउ आर यू गाइज? डोंट फॉरगेट टू प्रेस द सब्सक्राइब बटन अदरवाइज फिर घूम जाएगा चैनल फिर मिलेगा नहीं फिर कैसे आओगे. हेलो डियर फातिमा हियर इज़ अ गुड नेम. Hi dear Amy, here is yours. Hi Rohit, how are you doing today? Hello dear Michael, here is yours. Ahmed and Huda. मुझे लगा मैंने लिख लिया है. मैं ठीक हूँ, आप कैसे हो रोहित? Thank you so much for asking. Fufu. Oh, good to know. Hi Alreem. Yeah, I remember your name, dear. Alreem. Welcome back. Here is yours biryani. Uh-huh. Hi dear Jordan, here is yours. Hi dear Hood, it is a good name. Guys, double tap on your screens, come on. Hi dear Ankit, no, Aniket, Nikit, oh. Hi dear Nikit, here is yours. Hana, Muhammad Yusuf. Here is yours. क्यों कर दिया वो इसलिए क्योंकि मेरी वॉइस उससे ठीक नहीं आती थी इस वजह से. अच्छा नहीं लग रहा क्या? Bruno. Hi dear Bruno. Here is a good name. Fufu is your favorite food or your name is Fufu? You want me to write Fufu for you? Hi dear Bila. Here is yours. Hello dear Laiba. It is a good name. Hello dear Tasnia. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ayan. Here is a good name. Oh my god, double tap on your screen. अब voice क्या क्या लिखा है? छपट पढ़ के आ रही है वैसे. अच्छा, तो मुझे ज़्यादा ऊंचा बोलना पड़ता था पहले, जो हमारा एंगल था, इस वजह से फिर मैंने चेंज कर लिया. इससे काफ़ी अच्छी वॉइस आती है. मैंने एक दो दफ़ा सुनी है. निधि, हाय डियर निधि, हाउ आर यू? हाय, वेलकम. हेलो डियर नूर, हियर इज योर्स. अरे मैंने रोहित का कमेंट मिस कर दिया. ठहरो, क्या बोला है? टेडी के पास रखो कैमरा ताकि फेस भी दिखे. फिर दीवार ही दिखेगी उधर से. फेस तो है ही नहीं मेरा, आपको पता है. भूमि, hello dear Bhumi, how are you? Hi dear Subhan, here's a beautiful name. Guys, double tap on your screens and don't forget to press the subscribe button. Hi dear Vachi, here is yours. Hello dear Atik, here is yours. Hello dear Rehan, here's a good name. Bhumi, your name was done 3 दफ़ा शायद मैंने लिखा है ना? क्या लिखा है ये भाई? अभी लिखने लगी थी मैं. Hi dear Chandni, here is yours. Hello dear. यही समझो. नहीं, दिल मेरे पास ही है. फोन ही दिया मैंने अभी. क्या लिखने लगी थी मैं भाई? मुझे भाई आपके कमेंट की वजह से मुझे भूल जाते हैं स्पेलिंग्स. Hi dear Aurora, here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Shamistha, what a unique name you have, dear Shamistha. Here is yours, Gotham. Hi, dear Gotham. How are you? Here is a beautiful name. I'm खराब हो गया इधर से. दोबारा लिखती हूँ गौतम जी आपका नाम. 1 मिनट. अब ठीक है. Hi, dear Gotham. Here is yours. Hello, dear Tanya. हाँ ना, बाहर क्या घूमने जाना है? इधर ही घुस जाता है बीच में सैंड के. समझ में नहीं आता मुझे. जब मैं आपकी कमेंट्स पे ध्यान देने लग जाती हूँ ना, जो जैसे मोज़म भाई कोई बात करते हैं या फिर कोई आप बात करते हैं, तो फिर मेरे माइंड से निकल जाता है कि मैं क्या स्पेलिंग लिखने लगी थी. Hi dear Sudan, here is yours. Hi dear Yusuf. It is a good name. इसलिए तो मैं कमेंट, आप लोगों के कमेंट में इतना गौर नहीं करती, बाकी ऑडियंस के करती हूँ जो न्यू आता है. इसके तक फिर खदीजा इग्नोरिंग मी ऑलरेडी. खदीजा, हाजिर भाई नहीं आए अभी, है ना? आज वो गायब हैं. बिरयानी खा रहे होंगे, देखना बैठ के. Hi dear Louie, here is yours. Tasnia. Hi dear Tasnia, here is your beautiful name. Hello dear. ये देखो मैंने क्या किया. Zainab, here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. नहीं ना, ताला लगाया हुआ है मैंने. कैसे? Hi dear Geeta, here is yours. फिर आपने वही बात किया ना, देखो फिर मेरा माइंड इधर उधर होने लगा था. Hi dear MLA, here is yours, Nadira. Hello dear Nadira, here is your good name. Guys, double tap on your screens. And now Anshika. Oh hi, are you the same? Welcome back. Anshika. अंशिका था, है ना? पता नहीं क्यों मिस्टेक कर दिया मैंने. अंशिका. अब ठीक है. Emma, Emma, Emma, Emma. After this, dear, guys, double tap on your screens. Let's see who's gonna be the 190th liker. 90th liker. नया ही वर्ड निकाला है मैंने. Emma. 190th. उल्टे काम करने का मुझे अवार्ड मिलना चाहिए. Hi dear Nihil. Nihil, here is yours. Hello, dear Sita. Here is your good name, Ola. Hi, dear Ola. Here is yours. Okay, Puneet. Puneet, welcome. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Qureshi. Here is yours. Hello, dear Victor. Here is your good name. Guys, double tap on your screens and don't forget to press the subscribe button. Hello, dear Salma. Here is yours. क्या कहा है? Hello, dear Paulina. Here is yours. पीछे जाकर पढ़ना पड़ेगा फिर से मुझे अब. Guys, double tap on your screens. Rashika. Okay, Rashika. Rashika. Here is yours. You want a screenshot of your name? Go for it, dear. वालेकुम सलाम हासिक भाई. हम तो समझ रहे थे आप अकेले अकेले. क्या ये मोना. हाय मोना, वेलकम. मुझे नहीं कहा इन्होंने, आपको ही कहा. मुझे समझ ही नहीं आई इन्होंने जो भी लिखा था. मोना. हाय डियर मोना. हियर इज योर्स. मैंने दिमाग को ना अपना ह्यूमंस. ओह माय गॉड. Hi dear Lily. Here is yours. Human's brains, I think, right? Hi dear Janet. Here is yours. Hello dear Roseland. Roseland, welcome back. It is a beautiful name. Hi dear Harshana. Here is yours. Read. Okay, redoing. Let me check the spelling. Redouan and E. Here is yours. Hi dear Shintaru. What a unique name you have, dear Shintaru. Is this your name or an enemy character's name? I am confused about it. जिस काम पे तवज्जो दें, मेरी बातों पर नहीं, वरना अब मैं पढ़ूंगी ही नहीं आपका कमेंट. मुस्लिम भाई देखना, आप मेरा फोकस आउट कर देते हो. Hi dear Grant, here is yours. Hello dear Lorena, here is your good name. Hi dear Noor, here is yours. Hi dear Vasna, here is your beautiful name. Hi dear Gojo, here is yours. Hi dear Rafa, here is your beautiful name. Hi dear Barsa, here is yours. Let's see who's gonna be the 200th liker. Let's see who is next. You are back. Hi dear Usama, here is your good name. Hi dear Mark, here is yours. Relax, I am. Hi dear Manahil, here is your good name. Hi dear Tanja, here is yours. Hello dear Seud is your name? Here is yours. Hi dear Ira. Here is a good name. Double tap on your screens and we have to end the stream. Come on, double tap on your screens, guys. Dora and Sota. Dora or Sota? Here is yours. Hi, dear Nancy. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Annan and Feather. Here is yours. And double tap on your screens. Come on. What I am saying. Hello, dear Arabi. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Aisha. Here is yours, and have to drink some water. Stay hydrated, guys. Mm. Befnotia. What a unique name you have, dear Befnotia. Ah, it's my name. Thanks, dear Aisha. Befnotia. What a unique name you have. Here is yours. Hi, dear Fadel. How are you? It is a good name. And what's the name? Sukai. Here is yours. Thank you so much for subscribing, by the way, dear Sukai. Hi, dear Jackie. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ira. Here is your good name. हेलो डियर वेदांग हियर इज़ योर्स मैं हाजिक भाई थोड़ी देर में वैसे ही जा रही हूँ 5 से 10 मिनट बस मुश्किल से 5 मिनट समझ लें आफ्टर 5 minutes we hi dear tiger here is yours okay dear let me check the spelling again Bafnotia hello dear Bafnotia here is your beautiful name thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Salama. Hi, Samit. Welcome. After this. But Notia want a screenshot of her name, so we are waiting. Hello, dear Ishal. Hi. Welcome. Eden. Hello. Salama. Happy birthday, dear. Hello, dear Salama. Here is your beautiful name. Summit. Hi, dear Summit. Here is yours. Hello, dear Sky. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Taj. Here is yours. Oh, how can I forget Ishal? Here is yours, dear. Hello, dear Nuha. Here is a good name. Double tap on your screens. Hi, dear Nasira. Here is yours. Hi, dear Angeline. Here is a good name. Hi, dear J. Raj. Here is yours. And hello, dear Sumer. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Zan. Here is yours. Hello, dear Matthew. Here is your beautiful name. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Vishal, happy birthday. Hi, dear Vishal. Happy birthday. Hi, dear Nihira. Here is your good name. Hi, dear McKean. Here is yours. Happy birthday to you too, dear. Guys, double tap on your screens and don't forget to press the subscribe button. Hello, dear Aline. Here is yours. Hi, dear Sunny. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Kathy. Here is yours. Hi, dear Snowy. Here is your beautiful. name. Hello, dear Smiley. Here is yours. Keep smiling always. Hello, dear Tenha. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Sophia. Okay, guys, now it's time to end this stream and see you in the evening. Till then, take care. Now we are going to write our last name for the stream, which is Nasir. See you. Thank you so much for your precious time, everyone. Thank you for commenting your name here. I am most welcome. Lots of love. Lots of love, you all. And bye bye. Take care. Bye.